Now, a few months back, this tweet garnered a lot of interest online. Paul Watson, author of Up Pompeii and the guy who sold me this Bhutan shirt, called for a World Cup style tournament of the lowest ranked FIFA nations. So I made it in the FM24 editor. So starting in July 2023, just after the most common FM24 start date, this tournament will take place every 4 years, featuring whichever nations occupy ranks 210 up to 179 at the time, meaning I just miss out on the chance to rep my boy Montserrat with my Christmas classic football shirts purchase. Ooh, I bet you're already wondering, how can I download this tournament and play it on my own game? Well, watch to the end of the video and I'll tell you how you can download it. So over the last couple of weeks, I've run polls on my channel asking you to predict the group winners and then to go through the knockout ties as well. You went for a Liechtenstein-San Marino final, and I don't want to give away any spoilers, but you were half right. So let's begin with Group A, with the poll suggesting Somalia would just about top the group ahead of Aruba. Indeed, Somalia are one of the competition's most interesting teams. Able to draw on a wide diaspora, they have players from clubs in Scandinavia, Italy, the US and Canada, as well as Athlone Town, and the best named team in the Netherlands, Spakenburg. Meanwhile, Macau, Cook Islands, and Aruba were mainly relying on domestic players. And it showed. Somalia setting an early marker with massive wins over Macau, and the Cook Islands a dominant second-half performance there, only really finding a challenge in a comeback win over Aruba. None of the other two sides could register a win on the opening 2 match days, meaning this strike on 90+5 for Macau against Cook Islands was enough for a last-gasp win. Pang Chi-hang, the hero, as Macau grabbed the runners-up spot, an upset going by our community predictions. Group B would be up next. The poll favoured Bangladesh and Bhutan to go through at the expense of Cayman Islands and East Timor. And would you believe it, I own the jerseys of 3 of the teams in this World Cup, and 2 of them end up in the same group. Bangladesh and Cayman Islands cancelled each other out in the opener, but East Timor made a statement with a huge win over Bhutan. Young striker Muzinho becoming the first hat-trick scorer in the competition. So it turns out he's a Benfica youth product and he's played for Boa Vista. But on closer inspection, we see these are the East Timorese namesakes of the Portuguese giants. Cayman Islands and Bhutan cancelled each other out in the DG National Jersey Derby, while East Timor defied expectations to book their place in the last 16. Muzinho, again the man, scoring twice in a 3-0 victory over Bangladesh. Heading into the final match day, Cayman Islands were on 2 points and Bangladesh and Bhutan on 1. Bangladesh did what they needed to do with a comfortable 3-0 win over Bhutan, and now just had to hope that Cayman Islands failed to beat East Timor. This would be one of the matches of the tournament, as Romario Dixon scored twice in the first half, the second from the penalty spot to give the Caribbean tax haven a shock lead. East Timor did pull one back, that man Muzinho again, and then equalised early in the second half. Romario Dixon then completed his hat-trick to put Cayman Islands back into the lead and into second place in the group. Muzinho, though, looked to be the party pooper as he made the score 3-3 with 10 to play, a result which would put Bangladesh through. But there was to be one final twist, as with 5 minutes to go, Alejandro brought the ball forward unchallenged and thought, yeah, why not? What a goal, what a match, what an end to Group B. That means in a round of 16 we get Somalia versus Cayman Islands and a Lusophonic derby as East Timor take on Macau. Group C was one you expected to be dominated by the largest country by population in the competition, Pakistan, with a close race for second. It all started well for Pakistan as they made light work of Anguilla, beating the tiny Caribbean territory convincingly. Sao Tome and Principe, meanwhile, gave themselves an early advantage, and it was the 2 victors from matchday 1 who would meet next. After a quiet first half, it would be the islanders of Sao Tome and Principe who took the lead just after the hour, and that would open the floodgates, as Sao Tome and Principe terrorised the left side of Pakistan's defence with 2 more goals, a 4th coming in stoppage time as Pakistan lost their composure and dropped some clangers. 4-0, what a result. Anguilla would keep themselves in contention with a solid 2-0 win that set Mauritius on the brink of elimination. On the final match day, Sao Tome and Principe confirmed their spot in the next round, which meant this point was enough for Pakistan to secure second and make it to the last 16, where they would, of course, face the winners of Group D. An interesting group, this one, with a global spread of minnow nations. You predicted this to be the Bahamas, again with a tight battle for second place. 3-0 was the score of the day on match day 1 as Bahamas dispatched American Samoa, and Seychelles laid down a marker for the competition against Brunei. A single goal from Terry Delancey was enough to give Bahamas the win over Brunei, while in the other match the Seychelles enjoyed a straightforward win over American Samoa, a goal in each half, the result 2-0, resulting in the group pretty much being settled after 2 games. Poor American Samoa were actually the first nation to be eliminated from the competition. No surprise really, as despite me loading all international players in the game setup, they only had a handful of players in the database. Brunei finally got a win, and American Samoa finally got on the score sheet in their dead rubber game, while a late strike from Norris Bibi earned Seychelles top spot with a 100% win record. So we get Sao Tome and Principe versus the Bahamas, and Seychelles against Pakistan in the next round. A lot of interest in Group E with hosts Guam and everyone's favourite minnow, San Marino. You expected the microstate to dominate against non-European opposition, with Dominica coming second. You were almost right. San Marino Dominica was up first and the game finished level, while Guam in front of their home supporters posted a win over Tonga to take control of the group. That would not last though, as Dominica taught the hosts a footballing lesson in the second game, despite having a man sent off. And in the other game, a sign that perhaps San Marino are really the victims of footballing geography, as they secured the win over Tonga. 2-1 the final score, and looking at the stats, it probably should have been more. With San Marino taking on Guam on the final match day, the 210th ranked nation would only need a draw to advance. Dominica handled Tonga quite easily to go to 7 points, while in the other game, Guam got off to a great start, Joey Chiochetto giving them the lead early on, but then an equaliser for San Marino, a powerful strike from Battistini that took a deflection off Lee. A classic corner routine then gave the European minnows the lead, and in the second half some great work by Nicola Nani to set up Capiccioni to seal the win. And second place in the group behind Dominica on goal difference. So like I said, you were almost right. Group F was one where, again, you favoured the European minnows of Liechtenstein, with pretty much a 3-way tie in the votes amongst the other nations. And Liechtenstein would live up to the hype, beating Laos comfortably on the opening day with goals from Frick and Solanovic, and then putting 3 past the Blue Wolves of Mongolia on match day 2. The British Virgin Islands also picked up 2 wins in their opening 2 games. So just like Group D, we knew who was going through and who was going home after 2 games. Mongolia won the wooden spoon match, Laos going home without scoring a single goal, while a flurry of goals in 10 crazy second half minutes eventually saw Liechtenstein emerge victorious against British Virgin Islands to claim top spot in the group. And they did that without Lorenz Krauss and without Fabio Burmester. That means an all-Caribbean clash in the next round, Dominica versus British Virgin Islands, and a mighty minnows European clash as Liechtenstein take on San Marino. On to Group G next, and another one where you made the European nation favourites, with Djibouti looking solid for second and nobody expecting much from Turks and Caicos. Opening day results suggested we were right, as Gibraltar and Djibouti both picked up wins. And it was the 2 winners who would clash on match day 2, Djibouti taking a second half lead, before Wickham's very own TJ Debar equalised a few moments later. It was the East African side, however, who won through in the end, terrorising the Gibraltarian defence with their pace and powerful shots, as they grabbed an impressive 4-1 win. Also impressive in the other game were unfancied Turks and Caicos, who destroyed Samoa 5-0, putting themselves in contention for a spot in the next round. They could not carry that performance into the final match day though, as Djibouti racked up another big win, meaning a point would be enough for Gibraltar, but they did much better, opening up a 3-0 lead before Samoa eventually pulled one back. But overall a 3-1 victory, more than enough to get them second behind Djibouti. So that means all of our European nations are through, while all of our Oceanic nations are out. Finally, Group H, and you got this one right. Just about. Chad were consistent, as they racked up 3 comfortable wins, though they did leave it late against Eritrea. And the rest of the group was a scramble. US Virgin Islands surprising Eritrea on the opening day, but Eritrea showing a much improved performance in their second game against Sri Lanka, coming from behind to lead 3-1, only to be pegged back, as Sri Lanka scored twice in 2 second half minutes. But ultimately, it was Eritrea who would prevail with a winner on 90+2. Heading into the final match day, Sri Lanka were the only team without a win. But that would change as they scored 2 without reply against US Virgin Islands. So while Chad were top, all the other teams had 1 win apiece and the same goal difference. But it was Sri Lanka who snatched second spot. That last-minute goal in the final game, putting them ahead of Eritrea on goals scored. What a way to end the group stage. They go on to face Djibouti in the next round, round, while Chad take on Gibraltar. So here is the round of 16 in full, and here is the round of 16 you expected. 12 out of 16 nations correctly predicted to advance, and 2 of the matches correctly identified. Not bad. Here's my attempt at putting your predictions into a bracket so we can see Liechtenstein's path to glory. How accurate will that prove to be? Well, let's crack on and find out. My boys Cayman Islands up first against Somalia. Somalia were, of course, heavy favourites to win this one, and despite a wobble with this own goal, they managed to eke out a 2-1 win. Somehow a deflection on the Cayman Islands strike made it an own goal, but that last one wasn't. Macau continued to defy expectations as they grabbed a somewhat undeserved win over East Timor. Sao Tome and Principe against Bahamas was a match we voted on, with the Bahamas our pick to win. It didn't happen. Bahamas did make a spirited comeback to force extra time, but came up short in the penalty shootout. We also voted on Pakistan against Seychelles. It also finished 2-2 and also went to penalties. We chose the right winner this time though. In that all-Caribbean clash, Dominica took an early lead through La Ville, the same player doubling their lead on 22 minutes. Credit to the British Virgin Islands who kept things interesting as Carlos Septus pulled one back, but that would be it for the scoring. Our big European clash next up. Wait a minute. Our big European clash next as Liechtenstein took on San Marino. San Marino taking the lead as Nicola Nani took advantage of some questionable goalkeeping. But that goal in 4 minutes would be about as good as it got for San Marino on the night. Now, as we've already noted, this Liechtenstein side may not have the likes of Lorenz Krauss or Fabio Burmester, but they do have a few players from the Swiss and Austrian leagues who proved to be more than a match for their opponents from the lower reaches of the Italian leagues, exposing their fragile defence with ruthless efficiency for an emphatic 6-1 win. Thoroughly deserved as well. Djibouti would end Sri Lanka's unlikely run, while a single goal settled the final game, Louis Annesley giving Gibraltar the win over one of the most dominant teams from the group stage, Chad, giving us this quarter-final lineup. 1 All-African affair, 1 All-Asian, and 1 All-European. So if Dominica beat Djibouti, there will be representatives from 4 different continents in the semi-finals. But before we get to those quarterfinals, if you want to download this competition and play it in your own Football Manager game, I have now made this file available on the Steam Workshop. The link is in the video description, and please don't forget to leave a rating. First up, Somalia versus Sao Tome and Principe, and after Cavalry FC player Ali Musi had fired Somalia in front, Sao Tome and Principe would equalise with Gando scoring one of the goals of the tournament so far. Just as it looked like extra time was coming, Shakunda worked some magic to give Somalia the win with a goal on 90+6. Pakistan's run would continue as they saw off underdogs Macau with 2 goals. Dominica surged into the semis with a massive win over Djibouti, Audiel Laville putting himself in contention for the Golden Boot. Liechtenstein, meanwhile, did it again, storming into a 3-goal first-half lead against Gibraltar. Casciaro would pull one back in the second half, but Gopel then made sure of the win for the Alpine Minnows with this fine strike. So on to the semi-finals next. Somalia take on Dominica, while Pakistan, a nation of 220 million, take on the less than 40,000 of Liechtenstein. The first semi-final was level after 90 minutes, Kierik Walters cancelling out Omar Jamar's opener. It was Somalia who would have the cutting edge in extra time, however, as Haji and Abdi scored the goals that would send them into the final. Pakistan-Liechtenstein was settled by a single goal, and it was the European side who scored it, Gassner benefiting from some poor defending. So after all those weeks of competition, we reach our final, Somalia versus Liechtenstein. Now, through those YouTube community polls, Liechtenstein were predicted to be the winners, while Somalia were also predicted to go close, getting to the semis. So as this is the final, let's watch the game together. By the way, I did actually record the final before I recorded this bit for a TikTok video, so you might notice something different about my hair. So here are the teams warming up in a place that just looks like they're down the local park. So this is how Somalia are lining up with a 4-2-3-1, and Liechtenstein playing it simple with a 4-4-2. Alright, the teams are out for the anthems. I don't know how many people are in attendance because they're all behind a brick wall. Alright, fairly quiet opening 10 minutes so far. Are we going to get anything out of this highlight? Somalia on the attack, coming forward. Can they put Liechtenstein under some pressure with an early goal here? Mohamed takes it out wide. Is he going to whip that cross in to Awad? Awad, though, gets dispossessed. Now, is this Liechtenstein launching a counter-attack? It could be. Bukel plays it over the top to Gassner. Gassner into Frick. Okay, this is nice, patient build-up play here from Liechtenstein. Goppel plays it out. Ospelt, and it's come through. Philip Gastner scores. Ooh, but this one's going to be reviewed. We do have VAR in the Minnows World Cup, and the goal has been disallowed. All right, next highlight. Looks like Somalia are trying to get an attack together here, but they've given the ball away in a terrible position, and Frick takes advantage, just like that. Now, I, of course, do have a Liechtenstein shirt, but I thought I'm not going to wear it for this because I don't want to appear biased. Anyway, Somalia have equalised. Gabo getting the header in from the corner. And you've got to say, looking at the stats there, that was a shock lead from Liechtenstein. Somalia have been the better team in this half. But at half-time, it's 1-1. Okay, Liechtenstein really need to get back in this here. Set pieces are probably going to be their best chance. And it's come out to Ospel in loads of space. He keeps it in play just about. Can they get the shot off? Can they score a second goal here? They can. Frick knocks it in. But, oh, we're going to have a VAR check again. And it's disallowed. A second goal of the game disallowed for Liechtenstein. Now, it says there the attendance is 9,984. But look, I just don't see where those near 10,000 people could possibly be. Anyway, it is Liechtenstein on the attack again. So, you know, Somalia have had the better of the game, but Liechtenstein seem to have had the better of the chances, especially in this second half. But the attack's broken down. Can Somalia here launch a counter-attack? Or are Liechtenstein going to become our first ever Minnows World Cup champions? Anyway, it's all in the balance here. There's only 25 minutes of normal time to play. Are we going to go to extra time and penalties? Or is this going to be settled in the 90th? It's Frick again. Gastner goes for something fancy. But yeah, obviously we're not counting the disallowed goals. But Liechtenstein, that was only their second shot of the match. Oh, we've got a stoppage time highlight. Stoppage time highlight. So those do happen even when you're not controlling the game. Is it going to be Somalia here to break those Liechtensteiner hearts? Let's have a look. They're being cautious. Obviously, they don't want to commit too many players forward at the moment and leave themselves exposed to the counter-attack. But okay, are they actually just trying to run down the clock here? We will see. There's 2 minutes of the 4 added on remaining. Here we go. Mohamed out to Awad. Are they going to... Yeah, they're going for it. Mousse, the Cavalry FC player, has scored at the death. He's given Somalia a 2-1 lead. Amazing scenes. Can Liechtenstein come back? No, it doesn't look like it. There we go. It's full time. And Somalia have won the Minnows World Cup. And there you go. They've lifted the trophy. They get the fireworks and the confetti in the middle of the car park. The 3 burger vans over in that corner. Who are they for? So Somalia win. Liechtenstein almost fulfill our channel prediction, but not quite. But don't go yet, though, as we've got the end of competition awards to look at. Yep, I added those as well. Despite that blunder against San Marino, Buchel takes the Golden Gloves Award for Liechtenstein. Muzinho, such a star of the early stages for East Timor, takes the Best Young Player and the Golden Boot, beating Ordel Laville to both. Muzinho also features in the Golden Ball, but is second this time, ahead of Nicola Nani and behind winner Siad Haji, a creative force for Somalia. The Dream 11 has mostly Liechtenstein players in it, with Isa Suleiman getting recognition for Pakistan's run to the semis, and that guy Muzinho up top again. Goal of the competition next, and frankly, I disagree with this. The award went to Yura Indera Putera Yunus of Brunei. I mean, I'm not saying this is a terrible goal, there's a good run through the defence, but pretty tame shot, wouldn't you say? Especially when you consider this beauty of a free kick, as well as this beauty which we've already seen from our Sao Tome Principe and Somalia game. They were in the runner-up spots. I mean, is this one really better? It has the Michael Owen-esque run, but the goalkeeper should have done better on that. Let me know what you think. And let me know what you thought of this whole video. I know it's been a longer one than we normally do on this channel, but I thought I'd give it to you all in one episode. So make sure you like, subscribe, and look out for the next video here.